Hey everyone, welcome on into the Dawgland podcast. I am your host, Anthony Joki. I have Jackson McCurry alongside me, and we are officially 24 hours away from round one of the NFL draft beginning. So, what Jack and I want to do is get in here and do a mock draft of the entire first round. How it's going to work is we flip the coin, heads and tails. I have the even picks. Jack McCurry has the odd picks. So we're just going to go pick by pick here and alternate throughout the first round here. And Jake, welcome on in, man. Glad to see you here. It is draft miss eve, and it's really great to finally be this close. All the talk that we've had since the season ended back in January led up to this point, and it's glad that the draft is finally here. But Jack, how we doing, man?
Doing well. Thank you to everyone that's already on joining us, whether you're on YouTube or Facebook. Much appreciated. Like you said, Jake, it's Draft Miss Eve. It's definitely an exciting time. I think it's an eager time for all of us, just because we've done so many mock draft simulators, read so many scouting reports, watched so much tape. For those that really grind and watch all that tape, it's almost put up or shut up time. And I know I'm excited. I can't wait to see what Andrew Berry's going to do. And we can't wait to do this last one and only mock draft with you guys.
Yeah, things have been pretty crazy. So we want to get in here and do this mock draft with you guys. Maybe next year we'll do this a lot more often. Me and Jack will. But Jack, let's get into it here. Obviously, you have the whole mock draft simulator here that we're going to use on
Yeah,
PFF.
let's change that up. There we go.
Yeah, there you go. That looks so much better. You had the whole simulator here, and this is going to allow us to each make our picks. And it just got a little offsides there, but um, obviously, the Las Vegas Raiders are selecting number one, and I would imagine, this is pretty much academic at this point. It has been since the season has ended and the college football season has ended. But where are you going here?
Oh, I'm going with the no-brainer, Carson Beck, quarterback out of Miami. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not gonna do that. We're gonna try to make this as legit and accurate as possible. But like you said, this is the guy that's been the pick all along since the college football season ended. And it's a no-brainer. Jake, I think it's gonna be a mix of both. It's gonna be how we think it plays out, but I think it's gonna be what we want at the same time when it comes to certain picks. Like, I think we're going to try to be as unbiased as possible. Anthony obviously has the caveat of having both Browns picks, but we're going to try to be as unbiased and accurate as possible how we think tomorrow night's going to shake out. But
let's not all the power tonight.
Let's not waste any time here. Raiders, they're going to draft Fernando Mendoza as their quarterback of the future.
All right, that brings up the New York Jets here, and there's been a lot of chatter, the last couple of weeks of what the Jets are going to do, and it seemed like for the longest time, Arvell Reese is going to be the guy. David Bailey has certainly been a name that's going to be an option here as well, out of Texas Tech, and look, the Jets need all kinds of help. They brought back Geno Smith to be in the quarterback mix for them this season, and they're kind of positioning themselves for next year quarterback wise, and it kind of, I guess stinks for them that there's only one option in this year's draft. Um, for sure they would have gone. If there was an option, sometimes you have two, three quarterbacks in a draft, four. Here, there's really only one. And it went number one to the Raiders. So I think with the Jets here, we're going to follow the noise and we're going to go with David Bailey.
Yeah, it's been so back and forth of how this pick's going to go. It's been Arvell Reese, David Bailey. I think the momentum has kind of shifted back towards Bailey, but yeah, I don't know what the Jets are going to do, and I think it's really going to dictate how the rest of the night goes. Honestly,
Yeah, I agree. I'm pretty sure that the draft is going to start at the number 2 pick. Like we all know what that Mendoza is going to be picked first, but what the Jets do at number 2 is just going to set off the whole chain reaction for the rest of the draft. I feel like because they could go way out of left field and throw everybody off.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm going to try to fix this real quick. Just I feel like this would be better so people can see the teams and still see our faces and all the.
What's funny is it was fine until you click something over where it fit perfectly, but this will work.
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, we're not professionals here. We're just
that's okay. Less of my face, the better, which is fine with me.
But we're gonna go. The Arizona Cardinals are here at pick 3, and this is like where the draft really can shake up, Anthony, because we're thinking the perception has been Arvell Reese is going to go number 2, and then Arizona, which could go any direction, honestly. We know they like Ty Simpson, but that's probably an option towards the bottom of the first round. I don't see them picking him at 3 because that would really shake up the whole draft. They've been linked to Jeremiah Love. They've been linked to trades, and I'm not ready to pull the trigger on a trade yet. And the caveat is for all our listeners, me and Anthony get 2 trades each in this first round, so I think we'll use them wisely at some point. But if I'm the Arizona Cardinals, Jeremiah Love doesn't make sense. Yes, he's a blue chip talent. Yes, he's going to put butts in the seats in Arizona, but they should work on building a football team. And they don't have the quarterback yet, but you should probably try to build the environment around him. They got some studs at wide receiver, Marvin Harrison Jr., Michael Wilson. You got Trey McBride at tight end. I think if I'm the Arizona Cardinals, I'm trying to improve that offensive line. And I know there's concerns on the back, but if I'm Arizona, I'm going to pull the trigger on a tackle, and it's Francis Maui-Noa out of Miami, and that's going to be my pick here at pick 3.
Thank you for selecting him so I didn't butcher his last name completely.
Well, today was the first day I've gotten his name right because I've done it every which weather way possible.
We all know the story about how I am with pronouncing names here. So, all right. I think you left me a pretty easy pick here, Jack. With Tennessee up, yes, they could use everything. Cam Ward looked really good last year for Tennessee, and I think you want to continue to build around him. Give them a blue chip running back, probably one of the best position players in this draft, and we're going to go Jeremiah Love here to make this really, really simple.
Yeah, it makes a ton of sense, but I could see them going any way possible, like you said. But you want to build around Cam Ward, get him a blue chip offensive playmaker, and that'll hopefully continue his growth into year 2. Well, I think if this plays out the way it does, and I think the New York Giants are sprinting like Usain Bolt at the Olympics to the podium, and they take Ohio State linebacker Arvell Reese, pick 5. I think this would be a no-brainer at that point. And now, Anthony, the pressure is on you. The Cleveland Browns are on the clock at pick 6.
Yeah, so this is tough. Like I've been thinking about it all day since I knew that I was going to be making both of the Browns picks here. And anybody in the chat, feel free to chime in here as well. But the Browns can go a handful of different options based with what is here on the board. You can continue to add to this defense. Guys like Caleb Downs would be wonderful in this defense. Go wide receiver, Cardinal Tate, Jordan Tyson. Like those are certainly options as well. They could go tackle, whether it's Spencer Fano or trade down and maybe look at one of the tackles. I did see a report today that a lot of teams think that the offensive tackle run is going to be high in this top third of the draft here, and you know, I see it, Jake. Um, that's certainly something that could happen as well. Look, when you look at this Browns football team, I don't think there is a bad pick here. There's certainly, like I said, different positions you can go at. You need playmakers, you need wide receivers, especially in today's NFL. Having continuing to have an elite defense is something that really intrigues me. Building your offensive line for whether it's the quarterbacks this year or quarterback of the future, definitely an option as well. Um, they have been very tight-lipped about this whole process and who is going to be. And I look that could be any one of these guys. To be completely honest, I'm not even going to try to get in the mind of Andrew Berry and figure out what he is thinking here at this pick. But if it were me personally in this selection, and I'm not going to do that here, I would take Caleb Downs. That's the route I would go because he is able to do so many different things on your defense, and he's a guy when you go into each week in the NFL season, opposing head coaches, offensive coordinators can be like, we have to game plan against this guy, and you would have a second one of those on your defense because obviously you have to game plan against Myles Garrett as well. So to have two of those guys on your defense, I think would be really, really huge. But I am going to go wide receiver here, and it seems like the chat kind of called it. I am going to go with Carnell Tate in this exercise and not trade down.
Good man, good man. That's the guy I want. I don't know necessarily if the Browns are actually going to do it, but I'm happy that you made the pick there and took Carnell Tate because
Yeah,
I know
like
the
I was gonna say, like I know, people are like, oh, he's not a true number one receiver. Look, if you can get 8 to 10 years of solid wide receiver play, of number two, borderline number one wide receiver play from Carnell Tate, which I think you can. And one of the things that really sells me on him is I don't know if you remember some of the videos that came out of the national championship game against Notre Dame, but just how smart he is. And he was the one that called that play to Jeremiah Smith that iced him the game late in that one. Like to hear that and see where his IQ is at in a moment like that in that game, that just really sells him to me. And to have somebody really smart like that on your offense and bring that in here, I'm all for it. So I'm going Carnell Tate here.
Yeah, without a doubt, that's the right move. I'm on the clock at pick 7 with the Washington Commanders, and I saw a report today. They said that they would be thrilled with Carnell Tate or Sonny Styles. Well, Anthony, you made it easy on me because you took Carnell Tate with the Browns. So Sonny Styles still on the board at pick 7, and he's going to Washington to join Dan Quinn's defense, which I can't wait to see if it were to come true, what Dan Quinn would be able to do with a guy like Sonny Styles.
Yeah, I think that would be exciting. He really is a polarizing player to me. Styles obviously tested out of this world athletically at the combine, but I just think the versatility, kind of like Caleb Downs a little bit, not to that extent, but just the versatility of things you could do with Sonny Styles really intrigues me as a prospect. So I'm sure that Dan Quinn is the guy that would be able to get the most out of him.
Yeah, without a doubt.
All right, that brings the New Orleans Saints here, and definitely a handful of options for them. Defensive line is a need, linebacker is a need, wide receiver. For them, I look they have a lot of work to do on their roster, and pass rushers kind of seems where they've been leaning based on what I have seen. So I'm going to go with Ruben Bain. I think he can be a really big difference maker. Just what we saw in the playoffs, him and Mesidor on the other side, both those guys really were a dynamic duo at Miami. And I would love to have either one of them. But I think the Saints will go Ruben Bain here.
It makes a ton of sense, honestly. They like you said, they need to help solidify their defense. Ruben Bain would be that type of player, I think, to help bolster that defensive front. Makes a ton of sense in the world. Anthony, I'm about to use my first trade of the night. If you're open to it, I have a trade proposal for you because it involves one of your teams.
Okay.
I am offering picks 9 and 29 to the Dallas Cowboys for picks. Well, and I'll throw in something else, but obviously we're just doing another. We're only doing the first round. 9 and 29 and another pick to Dallas for picks 12 and 20.
Interesting. Think Dallas would be an option to come up here?
I think so because I think Jerry wants to get a defensive stud in some form, and there's not too many left on the board, and he's got to jump a potential division rival to do so.
Yeah, and I know like if the Giants, were able to get um, Caleb Downs, like I think their defense would be incredible, and I can certainly see Dallas making a move up here. So I will accept that trade. Obviously, this is what we'll do from now. There would be other stuff that's attached to it. Um, so I'm totally fine with making the trade.
Okay. So Dallas is on the clock. Do you want me to go ahead and make the pick since it?
Yeah,
Or
yeah. Go ahead.
okay. Well, Dallas moves up. They're aggressive. Jerry wants a defensive stud, and I'm gonna throw a curveball because everybody will think it's Caleb Downs, but I am gonna go Mansour Delane corner LSU.
All right. Well, you know what? As I was saying about 60 seconds ago, the Giants are going to sprint to the podium here and go with Caleb Downs. To have their two picks be elite defensive talent, that defense in New York is going to look really good. So adding Caleb Downs to their pick here to their first round, I don't think that New York Giant fans would be disappointed at all.
I agree with you, old man Driz. I think this is pertaining to the Browns. I would be happy with a lot of people except Caden Proctor. I'm just going to point that out there right now. Pick 11, Miami Dolphins. It seems like they are tearing down the roster, even though they added Malik Willis in free agency. I'm still scratching my head at that one, but they have a ton of needs. I think you have a quarterback. You could use a weapon here, but I think you should focus more so on making sure the quarterback stays upright, something they didn't really focus on with when Tua was there. So I'm going to go offensive line here. I'm going to take a guy that I'd be happy the Browns would pick, whether it's pick 6 or whether it's a trade back. Spencer Fano, tackle out of Utah.
All right, Kansas City Chiefs. It seems like the rich are getting richer in this draft. They obviously are not going to have Patrick Mahomes for maybe a good chunk of the season. It doesn't seem like that's in the plans, but you never know how fast he would be able to heal up to get back to being able to start. But Kansas City, added Kenneth Walker in free agency to boost up the running game that has somewhat been lacking in Kansas City over the years. And I think there's been a lot of talk with Travis Kelce and what he was going to do this offseason, and he ultimately resigned with the Chiefs to come back. But they have an opportunity here, Jack, to get his long-term replacement, and I think the rich getting richer and going Kenyon Sadiq for Kansas City at this spot would be huge for them.
That would be a nasty outcome if Kansas City gets Kenyon Sadiq because you have Travis Kelce for potentially one more year, and then he passes the torch to Sadiq, who is one of the most athletic freaks I've seen at the tight end position coming out of in a draft in quite some time. Like that would be the perfect passing of the torch, honestly. Seems like if the Rams were to stay at pick 13, this seems to be the consensus pick now. Makai Lemon, another wide receiver off the board here. It just seems like that's a natural fit for Sean McVay and his offense. I'm going to go Lemon 13 to the Los Angeles Rams.
All right, so I get the first division pick of the draft. We would have had the first one at 10, but Kansas City had traded that pick to the Giants, which, they could have had Caleb Downs if they would have stayed at 10, but, they ultimately made that trade with the Giants. All right, so Baltimore is the first in division pick, other than the Browns, and look, they could go a whole wide variety of options here. Their offensive line was pretty decimated in free agency, and I think for them to replace the interior, they did lose Tyler Linderbaum in free agency to the Raiders. Uh, I want to say they lost one or both guards, if I remember correctly. But I am going to have a very hard time pronouncing this name. But for the Baltimore Ravens, I am going to go with, I'm going to shorten it, Vega Ione.
That's actually perfect. Yeah, because that's what people call him is Vega Ione. So that's smart man, Anthony.
And you have the Buccaneers pick. This is another team where Kenny Sadiq could definitely go. Like I kind of see this one, this being an option as well. But obviously, I took him off the board with the Chiefs for you.
For sure. I mean, I can see it happening. I can see them going Eli Stowers potentially in the second round. But Tampa is another hot spot, I think, at this point where a trade could happen. Offensive tackles, offensive linemen are coming off the board here. But they could go in a number of directions. Honestly, offensive line, they need some interior help. They need some help on the pass rush. Um, they can go in a number of directions here. I am going to go. I'm thinking right now. It's a tough
They
choice.
did lose. They did lose Mike Evans. So their receiving core isn't what it used to be, but
Yeah, but they still have
they
Godwin. They
they still
still
have a lot
have
of talent on that offense.
they have Godwin. They have Ibuka. It just makes a ton of sense. Jake, I do agree with you. If Vega's there at 14, it makes total sense for Baltimore to go that route. Um, man, you know what? I am going to use my other trade. And
All
this is
right,
a rumor that's been picking up steam. I hate to do this right now because it involves our division
the Pittsburgh
rivals.
Steelers.
Yeah, because I just
I knew you're going to trade down here to them.
it,
Like I
it
had a feeling.
and Alex did it last night on his mock draft. It makes a ton of sense. Tampa can go back, collect some assets. Um, Baltimore or Pittsburgh needs offensive line help. Broderick Jones might not be ready for the season, but they still need it, and they're going to offer up 21 and I'm actually going to go 21 and 76. I'm going to force this trade. And Pittsburgh's on the board, and they take Monroe Freeling, who a lot of Browns fans still love, even though that has kind of soured here in recent weeks. But Pittsburgh hops up. It's a hot rumor. Jay Glazer even reported it today. When Jay Glazer reports stuff, I take that as the gospel. So they hop up, grab Monroe Freeling, because there's a chance the tackles wouldn't have been there at 21 for Pittsburgh. So
All right, so you're leaving me to pick again for the Jets. They took David Bailey earlier, is who I had them select. So certainly some other options here. Corner could be an option, but you had mentioned to me earlier that Jermon McCoy is kind of fallen down because of an injury situation. Um,
I will pull up the corners here for you.
Gotcha. Yeah, they have Avion Terrell, Colton Hood. Certainly options. I could see the Jets if another team wanted to get in on this offensive line run. Um, the Jets trading down in this spot can definitely be an option for them to maybe get a second round pick next year when they're really trying to go after that quarterback as well. For the sake of this, I'm not going to make another trade at this point. But for them, I am going to give Garrett Wilson a running buddy here, and I think that they could complement each other really well. I'm going to go with Jordan Tyson.
I was wondering when he was going to finally come off the board, and there's a lot of smoke to the other New York team, the Giants, but Tyson falls to 16. That's incredible value for the Jets if it ultimately happens.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Jets fans would be okay with that. And look, that would give you Garrett Wilson and Jordan Tyson for your quarterback next year to throw to. I think that they would be happy with that.
Jake was pining for you to hop up from 24 to pair Tyson and Tate together. So
Hey, that's certainly an option. Getting two receivers in this first round. Look, we'll talk about it a little bit, but I think that on the first two nights we are selecting two receivers.
I would have to think so. Detroit Lions, this pick seems to be a lock if he's there at 17. I know there's a lot of smoke about the Browns, but unfortunately, we don't have to worry, or unfortunately, we don't have to worry about that because he is going 17 to the Detroit Lions. Caden Proctor, tackle, Alabama.
All right, I was thinking about Minnesota here, and look, I have no idea what's on their mind at the moment. They brought in Kyler Murray to compete at quarterback with JJ McCarthy. Obviously, you still have Justin Jefferson on this offense. They changed GMs. I think it was pretty late in the offseason, which could throw a wrench into all of this. Maybe they go a safe pick. But safety is one of their needs, so I am going to go and have them take Dylan the Dynaman. Is that how you say that?
I think it's Feynman.
Dynaman. All right, we're going with Dylan for the Vikings.
But that seems to be that could be a consensus pick too. If he falls to 18, I feel like he's the guy that could potentially replace Harrison Smith in that secondary room. So that would actually be a home run pick for Minnesota if he falls to that point. Carolina is here at pick 19. Big year for Bryce Young coming up. He is extension eligible, but it doesn't seem like there's any talk about that on the table. I think they want to see more out of him. They added Ted McMillan to that room last year, offensive rookie of the year. It would make sense for them to add another receiver to that room. Opposite Ted McMillan, Omar Cooper Jr. is there, Denzel Boston's there, Casey Concepcion. I think it would be a little early, but I am going to go and upgrade or add another pass rusher to the mix here for the Carolina Panthers because, Anthony, as we've always said, you can never have enough pass rushers, and that'll apply to any team, honestly. I think it's a good motto to follow. Keldrick Folk, edge rusher out of Auburn, goes pick 19 here to the Carolina Panthers.
All right. Well, you kind of left me with what I was thinking here for Kansas City. I think if Mesidor is here for Kansas City, that would be a great option. They could double up on playmakers and get Omar Cooper at this point, and to be able to add a great receiver like Cooper along with Kenyon Sadiq for the Kansas City Chiefs, would be pretty crazy for this offense for whenever Patrick Mahomes comes back. So I think I'm going to go defense here for Kansas City and go with Akeem Mesidor, who I really loved, from what I saw from him in the college football playoff.
Yeah, him and Bain were carving up Ohio State's right side of the offensive line in that game. Unfortunately, it was tough to watch, but you respect the talent for sure. Anthony, I don't know if you saw it last night. My brother was pounding the table for the Browns to draft Will Howard a year ago. Now he wants the Browns to trade for Will Howard. So I think it's going to be a running gag on our live streams, especially this week during the draft. So
Will Howard for Dylan Gabriel straight up.
And then Gabriel has to be QB1 in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, because who knows what is happening with Aaron Rodgers. Isn't that I know the Steelers made their pick already, but isn't that really bizarre with Pittsburgh at the moment? They still don't know what Aaron Rodgers is going to do. You're heading into the draft less than 24 hours away. They have no idea if he's coming back or not. At 21, Ty Simpson could certainly be an option for them, but it's just a complete weird situation for the Pittsburgh Steelers, which I'm totally okay with. They no longer have Mike Tomlin to, he was the glue that held everything together. They have Mike McCarthy now. And look, that's a whole situation over in Pittsburgh that, could be very interesting to watch this season.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see what's going to happen there in Pittsburgh because I know they're high on Will Howard. Aaron Rodgers doing Aaron Rodgers type things. The whole Mike McCarthy hire kind of just like threw a curveball because I don't think any of us were expecting it. We were expecting they were going to hire a young offensive mind, much like we thought we were going to, and they went McCarthy and we went Todd Monken. So it's just I'm curious to see what happens. Like if they're on the board at 21 and they don't move up for a lineman. Like, I'm sure there'll be a discussion on the networks. Do they take Ty Simpson? Because much
They could even
respect to
trade
Will
down a little
Howard.
bit and take him if they wanted to.
Yeah, but you got to worry about Arizona, who's they can hop up. So I don't know. It's gonna be interesting to see that what's gonna happen there. Like I don't know. It's gonna be very curious for Pittsburgh. Tampa is on the clock after the trade down earlier with Pittsburgh. Um, they're in I think a better spot here prospect wise. They could go edge rusher here with Cassius Howell, Texas A&M. They could go not so much guard right here. There's not really a tight end on the board either, but they lost Levante David in the middle of their defense, and I think the one of the best prospects to replace Levante David. Not saying you're going to be able to replace everything he brings to the table, but in terms of on the field production, C.J. Allen, the linebacker out of Georgia, makes a ton of sense here, and they added another pick later on, and then Tampa adds C.J. Allen to go in the middle of that tough Tampa defense.
Yeah, their defense certainly lacking. Could definitely use some improvement. So that would be a good replacement, I think, for David. Chargers, Jim Harbaugh. You never know what was crossing his mind at any given moment, but um, I could definitely see Omar Cooper going here, getting another weapon for um, Justin Herbert. I know their offensive line wasn't great last year, but it was decimated by injuries, and you have to think that both their tackles will be back and will be okay. So I don't think you have to worry about that at this point. Um, defensive interior is something that they have listed as a need, and you have Caden McDonald sitting here for them. Safety, Emmanuel McNeil Warren, certainly an option. So for the Chargers, I am going to have them take Omar Cooper Jr. and add another playmaker to that offense.
I think that's gonna. I think I could see that. I can see him coming off the board here, right in this range. Whether it's the Chargers, whether it's the Eagles, whether it's the Browns, if they go other position at pick 6, I think Omar Cooper is going to be right in this range tomorrow night, and I'm intrigued to see where he lands because he is definitely uh, an immense talent, and I think he will help an offense wherever he ends up. The Philadelphia Eagles here, pick 23. And Anthony, you kind of stole my pick because if Cooper goes to the Chargers, it doesn't go to the Chargers. I think they run up and grab him to pair up with Devontae Smith and Dontavius Wicks, who they picked up from the Packers. Because we all know A.J. Brown is New England bound in about a month and a half or so. So the Philadelphia Eagles here will look to increase their or enhance their secondary here, and they're going to take Emmanuel McNeil Warren off the board here at pick 23. And Anthony, that puts you and the Cleveland Browns back on the clock at pick 24.
All right, just for fun, what picks do the Arizona Cardinals have left at the moment?
All right. So we will go to the Cardinals. Their next pick is pick 34.
Okay, so not that I there's certainly an option for the Browns to trade down in this scenario because I don't think any. But the downside of this, I don't think the Cardinals would have to come up at this point to get Ty Simpson if
No.
that's somebody that they want. So they could probably stay there at 34 to select him, unless they wanted to trade with somebody in those last couple picks of the first round to be able to get him on that 5th-year option. Certainly a possibility. But for the Browns, tackle certainly something that needs to be looked at. Blake Miller is there. Max from Arizona State. I'm not even going to get to try to pronounce that last name. Caleb Lomu, also an option there as well. Could double up at wide receiver. Casey Concepcion is still on the board. So is Denzel Boston, Chris Bell. If you really wanted to get 2 playmakers, which they desperately need, but I think for right now, Carnell Tate and Jerry Jeudy would be okay for this season. Obviously, I would want to add more to that in the future. Corner is something that intrigues me because they have Denzel Ward and Tyson Campbell at the moment. Ward is getting up there in age, so being able to possibly draft his replacement at this point could be an option. Adding another pass rusher as well. You know, they had the deal fall through with AJ Epinesa, coming over from Buffalo. Failed his physical. That didn't work. Obviously, they still have Miles Garrett. They re-signed. Um, was it Isaiah Wright or the
Alex, right?
Alex Wright this past year? So they have him. Maybe they want to draft another guy to develop behind those two guys at edge. But I think tackle is or offensive lineman because there's rumors that he could go inside. Um, but I think that I'm just going to go chalk to what I've been thinking all along and go with Blake Miller for the Browns.
He's a local kid too, Strongsville.
Yep.
Yeah. It's interesting because I just like I'm trying to remember. And someone in the chat, please refresh my memory. I don't remember if he's played left tackle. I know he's played right. So that would kind of just shake things up. But you got George Warhop, one of the best in the biz, to get try to fix that offensive line. So, and Andrew Berry loves versatility. So if he's versatile enough to kick over to the left side, I'm sure they'll try that out there first. But
if I remember correctly, the tackle that they brought in has kind of played both. So if they get a left or right, maybe you could move him to the left tackle spot.
Yeah, Titus Howard has played a little left tackle back in Houston. He did, but he's been primarily a right tackle or inside. So yeah, like I said, leave it to George Warhop to try to figure that out. He's one of the best offensive line coaches in football.
What is your thought about that? Like, I know we didn't have the best results with Jed Wills, moving from right to left. What are your thoughts about, trying to move an offensive lineman from, right to left tackle and vice versa?
Here's my thing, and I liked Jed coming out of Alabama, but I need someone who's not going to be a lazy POS, and I'm just going to leave it at that because even Joe Thomas has pretty much confirmed that here in a recent interview a couple weeks ago. Jed just didn't have the motivation or work ethic to be great. And that's why he was out of the league last year. He's on I think a relatively cheap prove-it deal with the Chicago Bears. So if you get a guy in here that's motivated and willing to put in the work, I think guys can go from the left side to the right side or vice versa. So you get good coaching and you get a guy that's motivated and willing to put in the work, I think anything's possible.
Absolutely. And it's funny that you mentioned that Jed is now on the Bears, who are now on the clock for you.
Yes, they are. It was a perfect transition
perfect
there.
Segue on your part.
Yes, and the Chicago Bears almost made it to the Super Bowl here this past season. Had a unbelievable playoff game where Caleb Williams threw that touchdown pass. It was still one of the most insane plays I've seen. But they're going to look to defense. The monsters of the Midway continue to beef up that defense. It, looked pretty good last year. I think they'll continue to get better. They need help on the defensive line, whether it's edge or D tackle. We're going to go with the best player on the board here, Cassius Howell. Pair him up with Montez Sweat and try to cause some havoc in the pass rush. Cassius Howell to the Bears here at pick 25.
How are we feeling about the Buffalo Bills? And I'm sure our buddy Kevin will, if he sees this, we'll chime in on our thoughts here. But how do you feel about the playmakers that the Buffalo Bills have currently on offense?
They definitely could use more. I think more is better, especially when you have Josh Allen. You want to maximize his the peak career right now, the level he's on. Like they continue to put the weapons around him. But yeah, I mean, right now you look at Denzel Boston on the board at 26. Like, I think he would love that because Keon Coleman hasn't panned out, and some of the other guys that they have brought in haven't panned out. I mean, Anthony, you got the chance for one of the steals of the draft here at this point.
Yep. But based on their needs, I'm going to go with Caden McDonald. Add some more to the defensive front here.
That was perfect. I hyped him up for you, and you just went a completely different direction. San Francisco, I tend to believe where Alex was going last night with this, and shout out to Bill Sparks of the Barking Browns. He kind of threw this note to us in the Discord earlier. San Francisco, it just seems like a perfect match. Caleb Lomu to groom behind Trent Williams, who just signed a 2-year extension. I would imagine this will probably wrap things up in his Hall of Fame bound career. Caleb Lomu, perfect guy to replace Trent Williams here in the future. He's to pick at pick 27.
All right, Houston Texans. I will be the first one to admit I don't really know a whole lot about the roster currently, but it says that they need running back, center, guard, defensive interior. So out of what's here on the board, I don't think there's.
I will say I heard a rumor
guard
about
for
them
you.
they're trying to move up for an offensive lineman potentially. So if you want, I can pull these up for you.
With how it stands, I think Emmanuel Pregnon would be a great option for them if guard is one of their needs.
I think
I
they
don't
need
know if he,
everything on the line, honestly.
yeah, I don't know if he's somebody that'd be able to kick into center or not. But for him, for the Houston Texans, we're going to go with Pregnon to fill that guard spot.
Okay. All right. Dallas back on the board here. Pick 29 after the trade with the Kansas City Chiefs earlier. They went Mansour Delane at pick 9. So defensive back is not an option here. They could go D tackle here. And this guy just got cleared by his doctors for his foot injury that he suffered. Caleb Banks, definitely a first-round talent. From what I've seen on tape and what I've read in scouting reports, he goes to the Cowboys here to pair up with Quinnen Williams and the interior of that Cowboys defensive front.
All right. So that leaves me with the Miami Dolphins. This is their second pick in the first round, if I remember correctly.
Yes, they took Spencer Fano at pick 11.
Okay, so they got a tackle here. New England is a team at 31 that could also take a tackle. And I am going to propose a trade here.
Okay.
I guess to kind of be trading with or actually, no. Since it would be pick 39, I'm going to have to trade with you, I guess, even though we're not going that far.
Right.
But bring up the Cleveland Browns here.
Okay. I like to see this.
All right. So we are going to do 39 for picks 30 and 75. I would think that could be fair.
Do you want to give something else up for the Browns here?
No, I think this would be okay. I'm not sure where it is trade value chart wise.
It says Haslam would veto it.
Well,
or no, it says that the Miami owner would veto it.
Let me pull up the trade value chart and see where we're at here. All right, so the Dolphins are pick 30, correct?
Yes.
All right, so that is 620 value. 39 is 510. So we need 90. What I give them?
The Dolphins were given 30 and 75 for 39. So that was
30 and 75. No, the Browns would be. Wait, hold on. I got this mixed up.
Yeah, I was wondering.
So pick 30 from the Dolphins. That's the only one.
Okay.
And then we're going to do 39 and 107.
Okay. Yeah, that'll.
Okay.
That works.
That's what I was trying to do at the beginning, but messed it up. All right. So, a couple things here. We could go. I know, Jake. I had what I was trying to do in my head right. I was just looking at the screen backwards. So certainly some options here. Could go double up on receiver, go Denzel Boston, Casey Concepcion. But I think that they could go corner in this situation, and I'm going to go with Avion Terrell to bring in at corner for the Browns.
Okay, I like this. This is different. All right. So,
I really thought about doubling up on tackle here and going with Max from Arizona State. You know, you would get your left and right tackle as rookies, and then you would have two veterans. You know, Titus, who they brought in via trade, and you know the other guy would be able to compete with Dewan Jones.
okay.
You know, for the tackle spot. But I think getting a corner here and on that fifth year option would be a good move for them.
It would be fun, yeah, especially because like you said, Denzel's contract's coming up here. I think next year, not 2026, 2027. Tyson Campbell's guaranteed money is up. I think after this coming season, if I remember
I
correctly. So,
I I
or-
I still think that they you know bring back Martin Emerson on a 1 year deal. I think that's an option. I know he visited with Houston,
yeah,
but I could definitely see him coming back on a 1 year deal maybe after the draft year.
yeah, and I just want to look at something real quick with Avian Terrell. He has played some slot. He played 110 snaps this past season, so theoretically, you could put him as your nickel corner starting out, which the Browns don't currently have because the depth behind Ward and Campbell is pathetic, to say the least. Nobody's really stood out yet, so
And,
it could
and to be
be
honest, you know with Denzel Ward, you're always looking at injuries as well. So you
yes.
know you always need a backup plan there.
Yes. So I am New England here at pick 31, and there was a viral clip of Mike Vrabel going out a couple weeks ago. No, it's not the one everybody's been talking about. Uh, it's the one where
But they're
Arizona
going to
State.
select Diana Rossini here. What?
Oh, and this live stream just took a whole nother turn. No, the clip I'm talking about is at Arizona State's pro day when Vrabel was going 1-on-1 with Max. Uh, I'm not even going to try to. I'm going to have his name ready for tomorrow night. Uh,
Because
just
the Browns will pick him just
because the
to
Browns will
mess with us
draft him.
here.
Yes, at pick 24. But Max is going to New England to, and then you're going to have him and Will Campbell as your tackles for hopefully the next 10 years for Drake May. I think that would be a home run value right here at pick 31 for the
Well,
Patriots.
and I know that people want to maybe kick Will Campbell inside because he just got completely abused in the playoffs. So that could give them that option to do that too.
Yeah, I mean it's an option, but I don't think they're going to give up on Campbell just yet at tackle. I know there's a lot of people that are worried about the arm length when it comes to Spencer Fano, but I would have to if the Browns take Fano, I would have to think that Warhop signed off on it. And if he did, then I'm for it. Just like I was 6 years ago when Jed was the pick. I don't remember. There's been mixed reporting about if Bill Callahan signed off on that or not, but I mean Callahan did the best he could with Jed, despite his laziness. But yeah, I don't think the arm length matters as much as some people think. But I mean, we will see how it all shakes out. Honestly.
All right. The final pick of the first round here, the Seattle Seahawks, the defending Super Bowl champions. And, you know, they lost Kenneth Walker in free agency, obviously a huge miss, but there's really not a running back here where they can go. You know, maybe trading down would be an option for them if another team here wants to hop into the end of the first round. Um, you know, maybe this is the spot where Arizona comes up to, you know, select Ty Simpson, which I think I'm going to do that, Jack. Let's pull up Arizona here.
Okay.
Give them, you know, be able to get that fifth year option on a quarterback in the draft. We're going to do 34 and 104 for the Cardinals, 32 for the Seahawks. And we are going to end this with the Arizona Cardinals selecting Ty Simpson.
All right.
All right. And here's a point where it might let you split the screen the other way
Yeah.
to make
So
it
let me
okay.
zoom it out a little bit.
Perfect.
Yep.
And if you want to throw away the ticker for a second, that would
Yeah, oh yeah.
be good. All right. So Cleveland Browns, Carnell Tate at 6, Blake Miller at 24, and Avion Terrell at 30. What are your thoughts here with how this ended up for the Cleveland Browns?
I like how this ended up. I think this would be an A grade for night one of the draft. The Browns getting a playmaker at the wide receiver position in Carnell Tate, adding another offensive lineman to what's already been a busy room of additions this offseason with Blake Miller, and then hoping upgrade the cornerback room with Avian Terrell. I think those are three solid picks. I think Andrew Berry would get a ton of praise night one from the Browns fans, from the Browns media. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this all shakes out tomorrow night.
Yeah, absolutely. I think tomorrow night is going to be a lot of fun. Like we talked about earlier, the draft is going to begin at number 2 with the New York Jets. See what they do, whether to go David Bailey, Arvell Reese, um, pick somebody completely out of left field to throw off the rest of the top 10. So I'm really curious to see what New York is going to do in the situation. And then as well with Arizona at 3, that could really set things into motion as well. But yeah, if this was how it ended up for the Browns here, I would be completely thrilled to have 3 key positions filled in this draft. Position, have better offensive talent for this team to, try to evaluate Shador, if that's the route that they're going to go this season, which I feel like they're going to. I don't want to see the other guy out there at all. And I'm just going to leave it as that other guy at this current point in time. But you know, it, to be able to evaluate him with some better offensive talent and a better offensive line, which they certainly addressed in free agency and also addressing it here in the draft, I think that we're going to see a nice improvement from this O line, which really needs to get back to being as dominant as it was a handful of years ago.
Yeah, without a doubt. I think Todd Monken knows that. I think Andrew Berry knows that. Like, Andrew Berry got gifted a great offensive line in 2020. He tried to make some picks, some developmental picks, and those guys got thrusted in too early. Injuries happened, poor play happened, but now it's time to get back to that, because I think that's what Cleveland fans love is a solid offensive line. We have the running game with Judkins and Sampson to do so, and then figure out what this quarterback position is, whether it's Shador, whether it's the other guy, or set yourself up for 2027. I think the Browns can do that starting tomorrow night in several key of those positions. And there's always the element of a trade back, which that would help you set up for 2027, because I think if you're going to trade back, I think that's what Barry's MO is, to try to get some 2027 picks. Yes, you can get extra picks for Friday night, but I think if Barry does want to trade back, I think 2027 picks is his main objective in such a thing.
And look, there's a couple options to trade back from. Like if you trade back from 6, you might be able to get a first rounder next year. I know teams are going to be very stingy with those. You could trade back from 24 and maybe get an extra second rounder next year. Definitely a possibility there, which would be able to help you in the long run in terms of potentially moving up if you want to get a quarterback next year as well. Um, certainly plenty of options. And I think that I know we only did a few trades here, Jack, but I feel like tomorrow night it's just going to be complete chaos with this first round of the draft.
Yeah, I mean, when Kansas City's GM came out and pretty much said, get ready for a wild night, I don't think he was just talking strictly about his team. I think, like you said, once we get to pick 2, more specifically pick 3, I think there's going to be trades galore. But it's going to, like I said, I think it's going to be key, because I think Kansas City and the Rams are 2 of the teams willing to give up 2027 picks. I don't know how many other teams are going to be willing to do so. And I think that's going to be the key part of these trades. But I'm ready for chaos. I'm ready to expect the unexpected. I know Jay Glazer's sitting on some kind of major trade that's going to happen, and he said it won't happen until that team is on the clock. I don't know if that's Dallas coming all the way up from 12 for to pick 3 to get the defensive guy they want. I don't know if it's a blockbuster player trade that we're not expecting. Like, I'm ready for the chaos tomorrow night.
Could Dallas be a team that jumps all the way to 2 with the Jets to be able to get their top defensive player?
I mean, anything's possible with Jerry Jones, honestly. Like, this is a dude that, like, stopped this whole press conference today because Bill Clinton walked in the room and he about fell over. So you never know what to expect with Jerry Jones. But, like, I don't know if 2 is all the way. But, and I know they said today, like, they can't afford to come up into the top 5. I don't buy that unless, you know, these teams 3, 4, 5, even 6 with the Browns are very adamant on the asking price. But, man, I think it's going to be wild and it's going to be fun, and I can't wait to sit down and, sorry for saying this, enjoy it.
You had to throw that in there, didn't you? For everybody watching, there is a long standing inside joke with the words "enjoy it" between me, Jack, and Alex, who was on last night. So, but yeah, you know, it's going to be a fun night. Obviously, we will be here to on a live stream to talk about it. Jake will be in here, who's been in chat talking with us all night. Alex is going to pop in as well. We may have a few other people show up here to join us for the draft tomorrow night and Friday. I apologize. I won't be here on Friday. It'll be Jack and crew holding it down here.
Yep.
But it's definitely going to be a lot of fun. And, you know, Jack, I know this is yours and my favorite time of the year. Hopefully one of these years, early February will be our favorite time of the year.
Yes.
We've been doing this heading into 10 years now. This will be the 10th season of the Dawgland podcast coming up here this fall, and we're really excited for that. You know, our draft coverage has expanded over the years. We've been finally hopping into live streams to be able to talk on air. Just been trying to do a lot more. So be sure to give Jack a follow over on X at Jack McCurry08. Give me a follow at Anthony Jokey, the Dawgland on all of the platforms, TikTok, YouTube. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this video. Certainly appreciate it. With all that, Jack, we're going to get on out of here, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow night for the first round of the 2026 NFL Draft.
Yes, sir. Everybody, 7:45 right here on YouTube and Facebook. We will get things rolling. It's going to be a fun night.
Absolutely. And I appreciate everybody hopping in chatting with us. Be sure if you have the opportunity, I know there's a lot of draft shows going on tomorrow. Barking Browns is going to have their show. Browns Film Breakdown is going to have their show as well. OBR. Like, there's going to be so much Browns content out there. I will be thrilled and honored if you spend just a little bit of your time with us. That would be wonderful. Greatly appreciate everybody who's hopped in here tonight. And we will see you tomorrow night for the first round of the 2026 NFL Draft.
Absolutely. As always, go Browns.
Go Browns.